Watching your brother take everything at your father's will reading is heartbreaking. Watching his face when the lawyer pulls out a second envelope, the real will that disinherits him completely, that's the justice your father planned for years. I'm Sarah Mitchell, 34 years old. Last week, my father died. His will was read. My brother Derek, who'd abandoned our father for 15 years, showed up, smiled, listened as the lawyer read. I leave everything to my son Derek. The house, the business, all assets. Total value, $4.7 million. Derek signed papers, shook the lawyer's hand, looked at me. Sorry, Sarah, Dad made his choice. Guess being the son pays off. Then the lawyer said, actually, there's a second envelope, marked to be opened only after Derek signs the first will. Your father's instructions were very specific. He opened it, started reading. This is my real will. The first document was a test to see if Derek would show remorse, acknowledge his abandonment, apologize to Sarah, who cared for me for 15 years while he disappeared. He didn't. He took everything with a smile. Therefore, this stands. I leave everything to my daughter, Sarah. Derek gets nothing. Derek went white, screamed, "That's illegal. I already signed." The lawyer said, you signed an acknowledgement of a preliminary document. This is the legally binding will, witnessed, notarized, filed with the court 3 years ago. Sarah inherits everything. This is the story of how greed destroyed my brother, exactly as my father planned. Before I tell you what that second will said, before you hear what my father planned, hit like now. Say your city. This is about tests, consequences, and dead men who planned perfect revenge. 18 years ago, our family was whole. Mom, Dad, Derek, me. Normal suburban family. Dad owned a small construction company. Mom was a nurse. Derek and I were in college. Then Mom got cancer. Stage 4 pancreatic. 6 months from diagnosis to death. Devastating, fast, brutal. Derek was 24, I was 21. Both in college, both came home to help. Mom died. Dad was destroyed. 60 years old, lost the love of his life. Depressed, struggling. The business was failing. Dad couldn't focus. Revenue dropped, clients left, he was drowning. I dropped out of college, came home, helped run the business, kept it alive while Dad grieved. Derek? He left. I have my own life, my career. I can't put everything on hold for Dad's problems. He moved across the country, Seattle to Boston, called twice a year. Christmas, Dad's birthday. 5-minute calls. How are things? Good? Great. Talk soon. 15 years of absence. While I rebuilt the business with Dad, while Dad had his first heart attack, Derek didn't visit. While Dad had surgery, Derek sent a card. While Dad struggled with depression, Derek was too busy. I gave up college, career opportunities, relationships, devoted my 20s and 30s to our father and his business. We turned it around. Mitchell Construction became successful, very successful, grew from 3 employees to 35, revenue from $800,000 to $8.5 million annually. Property values exploded. Dad's house worth $1.2 million. Total estate, $4.7 million. Built together, Dad and me. While Derek lived his life in Boston, successful finance career, beautiful house, no time for family. It's been 3 months since Dad got sick. Cancer. Same as Mom. Pancreatic, terminal. Doctor said 6 months maximum. I called Derek. Dad's dying. You need to come home. He said, I'll try to visit. Work is crazy right now. He never came. Not once. Dad died 3 weeks ago. Derek showed up for the funeral. First time seeing Dad in 15 years, and he was dead. At the funeral, Derek cried, gave a eulogy. My father was an amazing man. I loved him so much. Wished I'd had more time. I wanted to scream. You had 15 years. You chose not to use it. 1 week after the funeral, lawyer's office. Robert Patterson, family attorney, 40 years handling Mitchell family legal matters. Present, me, Derek, of Robert. Robert said, "Thank you both for coming. I will now read Thomas Mitchell's last will and testament." He opened an envelope, official, sealed, dated 2 years ago. Started reading. I, Thomas Mitchell, being of sound mind, do hereby declare this my last will and testament. To my daughter, Sarah, I leave my gratitude. She sacrificed much for me, gave up opportunities to care for me and save our business. I appreciate everything she did. To my son, Derek, I leave everything else. The house, the business, all assets. Total value, $4.7 million. I leave this to Derek because he is my son, my male heir. The Mitchell name continues through him. I sat stunned, couldn't breathe. 15 years? I gave 15 years, and Dad left me nothing? Left everything to Derek, who abandoned him? Derek tried to look sympathetic. Sorry, Sarah, Dad didn't know Dad would do this, but his wishes... Robert said, "There's more. Sarah, your father specified you receive $50,000, a token for your service." $50,000 for 15 years of my life, while Derek got millions for doing nothing? Derek signed the acknowledgement papers. I accept the inheritance. Will transfer title as specified. He shook Robert's hand, looked at me, smiled. Not sympathetic anymore. Victorious. Sorry, Sarah. Guess being the son pays off. Maybe you should have been born male. I wanted to hit him, scream, but I was numb, destroyed. My father had betrayed me. Then Robert said something that changed everything. Actually, there's a second envelope. Robert pulled another envelope from his briefcase, thicker, sealed with red wax, official legal seal. Thomas gave me very specific instructions. This envelope was to be opened only after Derek signed the first will, not before, after. Derek looked nervous. What is this? Robert broke the seal, opened the envelope. Multiple documents inside. He read, "To Robert Patterson, my trusted attorney. If you're reading this, Derek has signed the first will. Good. That was a test. The first will was theater, legal but preliminary, not binding, just acknowledgement of receipt. This envelope contains my real will, the legally binding testament filed with the court 3 years ago, witnessed, notarized, filed with the probate court, 3 years, irrevocable. The test was simple. Would Derek show remorse, acknowledge he abandoned me for 15 years, apologize to Sarah, who sacrificed everything, express any guilt or shame about taking millions he didn't earn? If he did, if he showed any humility, the first will would stand. He'd inherit everything. I'd have died knowing he'd learned something. But if he took everything with a smile, showed no remorse, no acknowledgement of Sarah's sacrifice, then the second will activates, and he gets nothing. Robert paused, looked at Derek. Derek, when you signed the first will, did you express any remorse, any acknowledgement of abandonment, any apology to Sarah? Derek stammered. I said I was sorry she didn't get more. You said, guess being the son pays off. Maybe you should have been born male. That's what you said, correct? Derek went pale. didn't answer. Robert continued, "Since you're reading the second will, Derek failed the test. He took everything with no remorse, no acknowledgement of Sarah's sacrifice, just greed and entitlement. For 15 years, I wanted you to come home, to apologize, to be a son. You didn't. When I got sick, I called you, asked you to visit. You said you were too busy. I died without seeing you, without hearing you say you were sorry. At my funeral, you gave a beautiful eulogy, cried, said you loved me. All performance. Because if you really loved me, you'd have visited when I was alive. The first will was your last chance to show growth, humility, remorse. You